morning, Birmingham. Today is Tuesday, October 10th. The time is 9:34 a.m. I call to order the regular meeting of the Birmingham City Council. Today's invocation will be led by Brian Blanks, fighter, chaplain, Birmingham Fire and Rescue Service. Our Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Councilor Valerie Abbott. If you're willing and able, please stand and join us.
Let us bow our heads for prayer. Dear Father, we welcome you in this place today. We thank you and we worship you because of who you are and what you have done for us. We welcome you, Holy Spirit. We have your way this day. We ask that your wisdom flow freely in the minds of these city leaders today. We come against the spirit of division, trying to keep this city from becoming all that you have created it to be. Continue to empower us and maintain a spirit of excellence as we serve the good people of this city. We ask you to continue to empower us to forgive those who are sometimes not easy to forgive, as you have forgiven us. Father God, we depend on your power to lead and guide us on how we should go. We ask that you protect everyone under the sound of my voice from all the traps Satan and his followers have set against us. We bind the enemy and all his demonic attacks. No weapon formed against the employees, citizens, and city leaders of Birmingham will not prosper. We thank you for your wisdom in knowing what to do when we don't know what to do. We love you, Father, but most importantly, it is your love for us that saved us, and we thank you for that, and in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you very much, Firefighter Blanks, for that very thoughtful prayer. Appreciate you for opening for us. Thank you, Mrs. Abbott, for the pledge. Good morning, Madam Clerk, if you'll call the roll. Thank you.
Good morning. Councilmember Abbott.
Present.
Councilmember Clark.
Present.
Councilmember Moore. Councilmember O'Quinn.
Good morning.
Good morning. Councilmember Tate. Good morning. Councilmember Williams. Good morning. Councilmember Woods. Council President Pro Tem Smitherman. Good morning. And Council President Alexander.
Good morning. Thank you very much. Councilors, at this time, the minutes are not ready for the meetings of June 20th, 2023 through August 3rd, 2023. Good morning, Chief.
Good morning, Madam President, Madam Pro Tem, members of the council. Good morning to the members of the public. October is off to an amazing start, and honored to be able to bring greetings on behalf of our mayor and read his report. He's a little busy today. On behalf of the mayor's entire executive leadership team and all city employees, I certainly want to give a big congratulations to our honorable mayor who was able to marry his beautiful bride, Kendra, over the weekend. So salutes and big shouts out. We look forward to celebrating with both of them upon his return. Madam President, members of the council, we also would like to wish a hearty congratulations to our esteemed Chief of Operations, Chaz Mitchell, and his lovely wife, April. They became proud parents of a baby boy, Christian, who is doing well. And so once again, we wish blessings upon both Mayor Woodfin's family, Mayor Woodfin, Kendra, and Chief Mitchell, and April and baby Christian. October the 8th through the 14th is Fire Prevention Week. This year's theme is Cooking Safety Starts With You. Pay attention to fire prevention. All week long, Birmingham Fire and Rescue will host events to promote safety and awareness. Yesterday, they held a fire prevention parade downtown. Today through Thursday, they will host Touch a Truck and smoke detector sign-up events across the city. And then on Friday, they will host their Operation Safe fire detector install event. For details, everyone can go to fire.birminghamal.gov. Nominate a shero for Strong Her. It's that time again. On October the 31st, the deadline will be upon us to nominate an outstanding woman for Strong Her 2024. 2023 was amazing. They set the bar extremely high, so we're looking forward to honoring another dynamic group of dedicated and strong women. Please visit birminghamal.gov/strongher for more information. As a reminder, nominees must live, work, volunteer, or attend school in Birmingham, and nominations are open to all ages. We're in the last phase of uniform trash. The final delivery phase of the uniform garbage cart system for single-family residents is now happening. I'm also happy to report, Madam President, members of the council, members of the public, that we're now more than halfway done. But please note that this distribution does still take several weeks. When you receive your complimentary cart, please retrieve the information packet. Note, do not begin using the cart immediately. Wait until you receive a letter from Public Works identifying your new pickup date and start date. Until then, continue to place your household garbage on the curbside as you usually do. If you have any questions, go to birminghamal.gov/pickup or text BHAMReady at 888-777 for updates. The City of Birmingham will also continue to keep residents informed about bulk trash pickup with daily updates online at birminghamal.gov/bulk trash. Residents using the new carts should place them in front of your homes. And as a reminder, any household garbage placed on the ground, in alleys, or on the ground in front of their residence will not be picked up. Madam President, as we get ready to wrap up, we have two proclamations that we're going to do today. So at this time, I'd like to ask Executive Director Ms. Hockery from the Down Syndrome Alabama and any of the guests that are with her to please join me at the podium. We have a dynamic little one that's joining her too. Down syndrome is the most frequently occurring chromosomal disorder and is the leading cause of intellectual and developmental delay in the United States. Approximately 1 in every 700 children are born with Down syndrome, representing an estimated 6,000 births per year in the United States, with approximately 85 of those annual births occurring right here in Alabama. In support of individuals with Down syndrome, their families, and advocates, we would like to present this special proclamation that I will read in part on our mayor's behalf. And it reads, whereas the City of Birmingham encourages all citizens to work together to celebrate the lives of individuals with Down syndrome and remember to appreciate and regard every individual with dignity and as a valued member of the community. And whereas through public awareness, the City of Birmingham supports the initiatives of organizations working to ensure people with Down syndrome have adequate services, are valued by society, and can lead fulfilling and productive lives in our community. Now, therefore, I, on behalf of our Mayor, Randall L. Woodfin, Mayor of the City of Birmingham, do hereby proclaim the month of October 2023 as Down Syndrome Awareness Month in support of individuals with Down syndrome, as well as their families, advocates, researchers, and medical professionals. I encourage all Birmingham citizens to work together to promote respect and inclusion of individuals with Down syndrome and to celebrate their accomplishments and contributions. And we'll ask our representatives to come and share a few words if they'd like.
Thank you. This is a wonderful month for us to not only celebrate, but also use this as an opportunity to educate and to advocate for our citizens who have Down syndrome and for their families. We appreciate all the support that the City of Birmingham gives us in this opportunity for our families to be here together and to represent everyone else who has Down syndrome in Birmingham. Thank you so much.
And we have one more, Madam President. At this time, I would like to ask familiar face, Brother Walter Umrani, to please make his way to the podium, and any guests that are joining him to join us as well. Madam President, members of the council, this is a familiar face, Brother Walter Umrani. He's the CEO of the Crescent Cultural Center, Cultural Community Center and Director of Protocol for the Muhammad Mosque. As the city of Birmingham continues its work in the stand against violence in our community, we recognize this effort to promote harmony, unity, and understanding. So I will read this very special proclamation on the mayor's behalf in part. And it reads, whereas, let's stand together and commit to a life of nonviolence, inviting others to do the same. As we walk this path of renewal and commitment, may we practice more patience and understanding of each other. And whereas we recognize that through genuine atonement, we can dismantle the barriers that divide us, transcend our differences, and work together toward a brighter and peaceful future. Therefore, I, on behalf of our mayor, Mayor Randall L. Woodfin, Mayor of the City of Birmingham, do hereby proclaim October the 16th as Day of Atonement in Birmingham, Alabama. And I urge all citizens to embrace this occasion for self-examination, forgiveness, and the pursuit of a more harmonious society. Brother Umrani, would you like to share a few brief remarks? Yes.
I'd like to give thanks to Almighty God, the creator of the heavens and the earth and everything in between. Special thanks to Mayor Woodfin for this proclamation. Ask around the city or the nation and see what other city has a Day of Atonement acknowledged. I'd like to thank Ms. Smitherman for your work behind the scene to help to get this done. I originally came aware of that term, atonement, in 1995 in Washington, D.C. when it was the Million Man March. I wasn't familiar with the term. The theme was atonement, reconciliation, and we all as men made a pledge to come back home to be better fathers, be better husbands, be better stewards in our community, be better providers for our family. But that was 48 years ago. We all made a commitment to stop the violence and stop killing each other. We all made the commitment that that word that spells B-I-T-C-H would never be used against any woman. We made that commitment. That was 48 years ago. 30, thank you. We always correct each other. 38 years, thank you, sir. Here in the city of Birmingham, we are seeing the rise and peak in violence. We are making an appeal to all of the organizations, all of the places of worship, to please this weekend put on your agenda the spirit of atonement. Make it a household word where we will do a little fasting, we will pray, get back with family, have dinner, recommit ourselves to family and development. I learned that in the Jewish community, they celebrate this at the same time. That date of October the 16th for the Million Man March wasn't selected randomly. It is the same period of time. Some of you religious scholars, you know more about that than I. The Yom Kippur, the Jewish community, where they recommit to family. They will not let another day go by with holding differences among their families, their friends. I'm hearing in some of our communities, there are close relatives, brothers and sisters, that's not speaking to each other because of some foolishness and petty things. How are we going to stop the murder when some of us as family members not even speaking to each other? And how does that look to God? So please, thank you so much. Please, I hope the mainstream media cover this. We need that. Only the people themselves can stop this murder and violence. The police can't do it. Miss LaTanya Tate, thanks for all the efforts with the crime and violence, but the people themselves, you can't help no one that don't want help. Why? The people themselves have to get involved. The DA told me in my ear, he said, Brother Walter, 85% of those who are arrested that come in this court had an outstanding warrant over their head. That's a sign. No warrants over your head. The mayor had the program, the clemency program, the sheriff, and they're not coming in. We're calling them out. No outstanding warrants. We're here to help. We have resources. We learned, where's Miss Cindy? She is the instructor over our young girls. 82% of all young 16-year-old girls who get pregnant, they read at a 4th grade level. Boom! Thanks to the mayor for having that reading conference at the center. 77% of all those incarcerated read at a 4th grade level. That's a sign for us. Let's deal with that issue and let's stop the violence. Please, it don't matter who you are, where you live, the socioeconomic factors, I understand. We have to deal with that. That is not a showstopper for us to stop the violence as we deal with that. Thank you so much for adopting this policy. I am so proud of you all, Mr. Sparks. Special thanks to Mr. Chandra Temple, who works in, where's Miss Marie Hudson? She's here? There she is. Special thanks to those beautiful people for helping making this a reality. And please, let's make it a household word. Thank you, thank you, thank you. 28 years ago. Thank you. We're going to get it right. But it was too long. It was too long ago for us to forget those principles that we swore upon. We have many things to deal with in our city, but the spirit of atonement and reconciliation, if we look at what's happening in the world now, it's telling us God has given us this is our last chance maybe to get it right. We don't have a choice now. Let's atone, resolve our differences, and let's stop the killing and make progress in the city of Birmingham and throughout this nation. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Let me get that picture. I want the media to see this. Put that on the media. We worrying about Halloween when we should be worrying about atonement. We buying ghosts and goblins and we ghosting each other in the street. Let's get back to God and atonement. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam President, that concludes the mayor's report.
Thank you very much. Excuse me, Councilor Williams. To Chief, yes.
Thank you, Chief. Over the weekend, I was inundated with lots of text and calls about the garbage program and the rollout of this last 4th tranche of garbage bins, mainly from people in a more hilly district. But the concern that kept getting reiterated and keeping me up at 5 a.m. in the morning from people that chose to text me was that their garbage had always been picked up in an alley, and it was impossible for them to get down to the street where their garbage cans were delivered. And the paper said that it would no longer be picked up in the alley. So how do those that live at a steep incline, when they have an alley that's somewhat level, and then the front yard and street down below is, hard to ingress and egress, are we saying that we don't do any alley pickup anymore?
So thank you for your question. I know that many of you have received, especially for those of you that have residents that live on hills that have a lot of steps. So that was kind of a blanket, this is the new approach, but we do recognize that there has to be case-by-case review, which we've been doing. So if you have residents that reach out to you that have extreme circumstances like that, what we do is have the Public Works Department go out, evaluate. If there are adjustments that can be made where there's either support to do pick up in the alley, then we'll make that adjustment. But we did provide a blanket, this is the approach citywide. So I'll say for you, for those who are listening, for each of those of you who are receiving outreach from your respective citizens, let us know those. You can literally bundle those and let us know, and we'll do a case-by-case review to see where adjustments can be made.
So do I recommend they call 311 with that?
I would recommend that they call you for you to bundle those and share them with us, because I think we would rather go ahead and try to address the review as opposed to it being logged in 311. They can, because our team will do 311 reviews, but this is just to prevent you all, if you're getting that direct outreach, from having to send them somewhere else.
Okay.
You can have your staff just bundle those and share them with us.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. O'Quinn?
Just as a follow-up, Public Works had set up a email address for these types of concerns to be addressed to. I've been copied on a couple of those emails, and to my knowledge, citizens are not getting a response when they email that email address. I just want to bring that to your attention.
Very helpful to know. And when you all are copied and citizens make you aware that they're not receiving follow-up, please let me know that directly.
Okay.
Thank you. Councilor Clark.
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to get some clarification just to know what I need to do, because I've had the same concern. So should I survey my whole neighborhood to identify the hilly properties and send those in? Or,
no, ma'am.
or encourage people to speak up for themselves
Yes,
to
so-
me and batch those? I mean, how?
So my apologies. So there are, I think a survey would create an awareness that there is,
An alternative.
right.
Yeah.
And so we would still prefer that there be street service pickup. However, we also don't want to create extreme burden, because there are some instances where it's absolutely an extreme burden on citizens.
Yes.
So if there are those extreme burdens, our preference is that there's street service pickup. With exceptions, certain exceptions, when it's extreme, our team will go out and do reviews and make adjustments, but we really do want, for the purposes of our trucks and staffing and the way the lifts work, to, as much as possible, try to avoid alley pickup.
Okay.
It's just more efficient for us to be able to use street, but we don't want to place an undue burden on citizens. So
Okay.
I would recommend that let it be by outreach to you, and then let it be elevated to us, and then we'll do a review on a case-by-case basis.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Councilor Abbott.
I just couldn't sit here since my district is the one with most of the mountain in it. I share it with some of my colleagues, but yes, the Director of Public Works did commit that there would be a block-by-block survey by the supervisors who go ahead of the garbage trucks to look at the situation, because, you know, the older parts of the city are not like the suburbs, you know, and it's impossible for you to collect at curbside in front of people's houses, just absolutely impossible. So sadly, the garbage bins carts were delivered without any notification to all the people who didn't attend that meeting. And I sent out a description of what was said in the meeting to all of the officers. So lots of people have expectations that the city is going to do something rather than just demand that they put their garbage out front. We have people who'd have to walk a whole block with their cart to get to their homes because they would need to take it from the front around the corner and go up the alley themselves with that gigantic cart in order to get it to the front of their homes. So, you know, we definitely need for Public Works to do what they said they would do and survey and see what the best way is, because alleys were created for services. A lot of people don't know that, but that's the reason alleys were created, is so the power lines and the garbage and all the mess would be behind your house, not in front. So there's no way for me to compile all of the complaints and the calls that I've gotten since the new carts were delivered with those same instructions that everybody gets. It's been an experience, but not a good one. The letter that was supposed to go out ahead of the carts never arrived, so people didn't even know they were coming. They're still strewn all over the neighborhood. You know, people haven't walked down to get them because they're not capable of it. So there's a lot of extra effort that needs to go with phase 3, since it's the final phase. Because people are really upset. You start messing with their garbage collection and, you know, they get excited, because who wants to be sitting under a bunch of garbage? Nobody. But this was not handled as well as it could have been. I guess we can come up on the tail end and fix it. hopefully.
Yes, ma'am.
But I am going to start referring them to people in the administration instead of me, because as you know, we have no capability to fix this. Y'all have to fix it.
Yes, ma'am. Madam President?
Yes, thank you, Chief. I'll just reiterate what I'm hearing from the council and the request, and just to have clarity, if you all would give us some feedback on what these instructions you'd like for us in order to convey that information back to you all, and so that we can advocate that when we go to our neighborhood meetings, and we can determine what are the best steps then that we can be that voice to know how you all want to manage that and take in consideration what you're hearing here today.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
I have one last request. Recently, we did get notification that the Sanification and Ordinance Inspector jobs were open at www.jobsquest.org. When you go into that site, you do not see that job title. So if you could just let us know if that is the correct title that should be searched.
Okay.
And
will.
we can get that back out, because I have some residents that are trying to apply for that job. And
Okay.
I'd love to give them the right information.
Yes, ma'am. We
Thank
will.
you.
Thank you.
All right,
seen
thank
note
you.
of that. Thank you all.
Thank you, Chief. We appreciate you bringing us that communication. At this time, councilors, without objection, I'd like to suspend the rules to allow presentations. We do have 2 presentations today from Councilor Clinton Woods. So, Councilor, I'll turn it over to you.
Good morning. We'll go ahead and get started with Black Warrior Riverkeeper here. We were recognizing Katie Fagan, who was our representative. She is not here. She fell and is getting some attention, but we do have Charlie with Black Warrior Riverkeeper, and so we really wanted to, I think y'all have heard this story, but I'll say it one more time just to reiterate. But, you know, we started what's called the Be Litter Free campaign mid-2019, and we were doing cleanups throughout the district. You know, we were, making some ground up. Wasn't quite as efficient as we would like. Was trying to find, somebody to partner with. Found Black Warrior Riverkeeper. They already had a kind of preset system to efficiently pick up trash, and Katie came on with us September 2020, and since then we really were able to elevate the cleanups that we were doing. We're more efficient. We're getting more trash off the streets and stuff. Great appreciation for that. We are really honoring her because she is leaving. We allowed some young man to weasel in and marry her, and she's going to be moving across the country. So we'll be working with Charlie to keep it going here in the district. But a lot of you know, like, we've done cleanups. I know a lot of you have done cleanups, and so it's impactful. It makes a difference, giving residents kind of an outlet to one, participate in helping solve the issue and clean up a little bit, but also see the scope of it firsthand. It goes a long way with the youth to understand why you don't need to be littering and things like that in the community. And so, just a little bit about Katie before she heads out, just some of her impact. And so she participated in 79 cleanups in Birmingham. Of those cleanups, there have been 965 individual volunteers for a total of 1,727 volunteer hours, which, if we use the federal calculations, will convert over to $54,934 in impact in-kind contributions from volunteers, and a grand total of 48,000 pounds of litter removed. And so that was one of the things that Black Warrior Riverkeepers brought to the table, was we actually bag it, and whatever we pick up, we bring it back and we weigh it each time. And so we're able to kind of keep those statistics each year. That motivates volunteers, and it kind of gives a little bit of competitive spirit. And one thing that we have been excited to see is that the amount of trash has gone down as we've continued to do this. And so we're seeing less and less trash out. So we'll continue that, but want to just thank Charlie and Black Warrior Riverkeeper. Did you want to say anything on Katie's behalf?
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you very much, Councilor Woods, and to all the city councilors. I want to give you a little historical perspective on what happened here. So for the 22 years that Black Warrior Riverkeeper has been in existence as a nonprofit protecting local water quality for the sake of public health, recreation, and wildlife habitat, the two main things that we've always done and will continue to do are patrol for major pollution problems, major threats to our water, and then sue when necessary to fix those problems. We realized, though, in 2020 that there weren't a lot of ways for the average citizen of any background, any age, to get involved in that work. I mean, they could write us checks, and we appreciate that as a nonprofit, but there wasn't a way for, we're doing this work for everyone, and yet there wasn't a way for us to engage everyone in the work. So started thinking about maybe we should start a volunteer litter cleanups program, because it seems like, and as we just heard in the previous business, everyone hates litter equally. It doesn't matter what your politics are, what your background is, your age, we all hate it. So I just thought, well, let's just dip our toe into this, so to speak. Let's hire an AmeriCorps member. We ended up hiring Katie Fagan. And let's just see if these cleanups catch on. And they caught on incredibly well, particularly at first because Councilor Woods engaged us, and then Councilor Clark, and then it just spread into all these other districts, and it spread throughout the 17-county Black Warrior watershed. So, yes, the bad news is Katie is moving out of the Black Warrior River watershed across the ocean to England, where she'll probably clean up the United Kingdom. The good news is Katie Holmes, who was actually served with us as an AmeriCorps member from 2021 to 2022, is now taking Katie's position as outreach coordinator. And so you will see no disruption in service in our cleanups program. In fact, we hope to expand them throughout the city and throughout the watershed. But today is about Katie Fagan, and so I feel very blessed to accept this honor on her behalf, and we will let her know how much you appreciate her. Thank you very much, and God bless.
Thank you. Yes, Councilor Clark.
Thank you, Councilor Woods, for bringing this up, and thank you, Charlie and the Katies, because y'all have been a difference maker for us as we've attempted to do these cleanups in District 8. And, you have volunteers who will follow you anywhere, so we appreciate that. And just, like you said, the opportunity to get people engaged in eliminating litter, not only because it's ugly and unsightly and nobody likes it, but also because it contaminates our drinking water supply. So I think anything we can do to raise that awareness is a good thing. And keeping debris out of our storm inlets is just imperative if we want to have good, clean drinking water. So thank you for what you've done to partner with us, and thank you, Councilor Woods, for kicking off the Be Litter Free campaign and giving us all this, making this platform available to all of us. Thank you.
And Katie has worked with us for a couple years too, and we call her New Katie and or Katie 2. So I don't think she minds.
Katie 2.0. How about
Yeah. And the third one, so Katie 2.0. Quickly, we're going to invite up journalist Roy S. Johnson, and I see his wife there, so she may as well come stand up here too. She might be a familiar face. While they're coming, I want to actually use seats and move prayers.
All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. All opposed?
Thank you. All right, so as you may know, Roy, I gotta say the S every time. Roy S. Johnson was honored, by NABJ. He was inducted into the Hall of Fame recently, which was actually during the conference held here in Birmingham, Alabama. And so, like I said, we all are very busy. We all do a lot of things. We're all working on a lot of things, but it's just very important in life to always take an opportunity to celebrate the milestones when they happen, and this is a significant one. And so, he's worked hard in Birmingham and brought a lot of attention and brought a lot of information to people. And so I think, the city should take this opportunity to just honor you. And so I want to share a little bit about Roy's career, just in case anyone's not aware of all the things that he's been able to do. But I was born in March 1956. I almost took you way back up. 1919. All right. But he was born in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and attended the prestigious Holland Hall Preparatory School in Tulsa. Went on to graduate from Stanford University with a BA in political science, and resided in New York before matriculating down to Birmingham. And so in 1978, he was hired as a sports reporter for Sports Illustrated from 1982 until 1989. He worked for the New York Times and the Atlanta Journal-Constitution before returning to Sports Illustrated as a senior editor. Went on briefly to work for Money and was then hired as an editor-at-large for Fortune magazine. After a short stint there, he joined Vanguard Media as editorial director, and in 2001, while working at Vanguard, Roy co-conceived and co-launched Savoy magazine, and in 2003 returned to Sports Illustrated. Kept going back to Sports Illustrated. That's what I would do too. So, where he worked as assistant managing editor. Was then hired as a consultant for Men's Fitness magazine in 2007, where he was later promoted to editor-in-chief. Also written for many other publications, and including Life Goes Strong and ESPN.com. In 2014, he joined the Alabama Media Group. He was one of 3 finalists for the Pulitzer Prize for commentary in 2021, and in the announcement, he was cited for evocative columns on race and remembrance, written style, urgency, and moral clarity. And so, like I said, we're just very excited about the work he's done. If you've been in Birmingham, you've read some of his work, we try to keep him away from us as much as possible. So we've done a good job of not giving him too much to write about. But just want to take the opportunity to celebrate you on this major recognition that you got. But, the Hall of Fame, anything is huge. And so I just wanted to recognize you, give you the opportunity to share.
Morning.
First of all, I want to thank the brother for clarifying the year of the Million Man March, because I was there. And when he said it was 48 years ago, I said, how old am I? So thank you, Councilor Woods. Thank you to the City Council for this recognition. But if you don't for one moment think it's going to change the way I cover you guys, all right? But thank you for supporting also NABJ. I'm not sure if you heard, but it was the second most attended NABJ conference in the history of the organization. So thank you for your support of that. So yeah, I had a pretty cool summer, right? Being honored and really honored to be able to be in this Hall of Fame and inducted at the same time as another a Birmingham legend, Dr. Jesse Lewis of the Birmingham Times. So it's really an honor to be able to be inducted at the same time that he was. But it's also been a cool summer personally, right? And I would be remiss without acknowledging my wife of 45 days, Dr. Nadia Johnson, being here with me today. Only God could have scripted my journey. As you heard, I began at Tulsa, Oklahoma in the last days of Black Wall Street, learning to read in my father's store, which was on Greenwood Avenue, right in the middle of Black Wall Street, the Black Wall Street, learning to read the magazines. They were on the shelf there and being taught by men and women and teachers who just taught me the value of reading. But I didn't know, I liked to be a journalist and I liked writing, but I didn't think I could be one because I didn't see anyone who looked like me on television. I didn't see a journalist who looked like me working at our local newspaper. I probably learned to read as well because of our local black newspaper, the Oklahoma Eagle. But when it came to other media, I didn't see anyone who looked like me. So Councilor Smithman, I wanted to be an attorney. Right now, you're probably not old school enough to know Perry Mason. That's who I was going to be. I was going to be Perry Mason. So as you heard, I majored in political science and pre-law. But I got out of school, I said, you know what, maybe I'll try this journalism thing and see if it works out. I could always defer my law school admissions. A few years later, here I am, ended up going to work, as you heard, for Sports Illustrated and many other publications have been able to chronicle and interview superstars in sports, in government, in entertainment, in business, and really, really blessed to be able to make this journey. And then I came to Birmingham. And I've had some trials along the way before I came here. I've shared many times that I was laid off 3 times. But God promises us trials, right? He also promises us that he will lift us up. And when I came to Birmingham, a lot of people in both my industry and out of it thought, well, he's just going to go down there. He's going to quietly slip into retirement. But no, the voice I heard, and you know from our pastor the last couple of weeks, he's been sharing a message. And what is that? there's more. So he brought me down here, and now I know there was more. Who knew that I would come down here and within 9 years be recognized at the highest levels of my industry, to be embraced by a city, and also to find peace and love and joy. And when I write a column, I write it for one reason. I write it so that I hope that we can be better tomorrow than we are today. We may not always agree, but if we can agree that we do want to be better, that we want to do better, then I think we'll all end up in a better place. And the final thing that I want to say is, as we are teaching our young people to read, also teach them to write. That no matter what vocation they go in, no matter what area of life they go into, writing will be important. Reading is fundamental, but writing is essential. Think about it. Without someone writing that book they're reading, there would be no books. Without someone having written that script, there would be no movie or television show. Without someone having written those lyrics, there would be no song. Reading is important for several reasons. No matter what area, again, that they go into, it will enhance their ability to communicate. That's right. And we all know that communication is important. It will also elevate their confidence, their ability to be able to express what they feel and say. And it will unleash their creativity. Teach them to be storytellers. Give them the tools so they can go out and share the stories of their neighborhoods, their churches, their schools, their cities, their neighborhoods, their states, and their nation. Teach them to tell those stories. Because if our children learn how to write, if they learn how to tell their stories, then our stories will always be told. Thank you once again.
Thank you guys for your patience. I thought it was just very important to give him a moment just to discuss some of his accomplishments as we celebrate him. So I do want to request UC once again.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Move the resolution.
Second.
All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Thank you. Yes, Councilor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Madam President. Mr. Roy Johnson, I don't know, I feel like ever since I've been on the council, maybe before the council, I knew of your name. And so before I got on the council, I was like, who is this Roy Johnson that's been causing all this trouble in the journalism, and whether it was sports or not. But I know we had lunch one day a couple of years ago, and then we quickly became friends. And so I want to thank you for your courage, for always telling the truth, even when it's hard, because a lot of times, and also for telling the truth factually, because sometimes in journalism, they'll write a story or tell a story that may sound good, but isn't exactly truthful. So thank you so much. You really are an inspiration, I believe, to Black youth. The more people they see that look like us, the more they are inspired to be like that. And you're right. And you're right about writing, because even in law school, without the proper training, I didn't know how to write as well as my other counterparts who didn't look like me. And so I think we'll be able to help our kids pass high school, pass middle school, because if you don't know how to write, you can't get into college. If you don't know how to write, you can't get into that job, because you have to learn how to do a resume. If you're in grad school, if you don't write well, that's the difference between a C, a D, or an A. So hopefully we can take your talents and your accomplishments and see how we can spread them into school and leave some type of legacy behind, maybe the Roy Johnson Writing Academy or something like that. So thank you so much for all you do, and congratulations.
Thank you. Councilor Moore.
Yes, so I just want to say congratulations to you and your wife. I know Proverbs 18:22 says, "He who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord." One of my favorite renditions of that, though, is he who finds a wife, or he who finds a good wife has proof that God loves him. And so I'm glad that, we can see the proof today. I also just want to congratulate you and just thank you for challenging us in your writing. You have always had integrity in what you write, and we are always able to be not only informed but educated. And that is one of the things that I've appreciated in this short amount of time that I've had to know you. And so I just want to say congratulations again to you.
Thank you. Councilor Clark.
Thank you, Madam President. Well, Roy, this is quite an accomplishment, but you're no stranger to accomplishments. Really excited for you. I met you shortly after you got here, and I can remember the lawyer who introduced us saying, I met this guy, he's really interesting and really cityfied. That was the name she used for him. And so you're a foodie, and I know we all enjoyed a meal and have continued to be acquainted around issues facing Birmingham and the world. But, you know, when I first met you, I thought, well, he's a sports writer. I know we're not going to have anything to talk about because I am not a sports enthusiast. But we have had a great friendship, and I'm really happy that Birmingham has worked out for you so well, and that you've found fulfillment here, and that you've stayed as long as you have. So I'm just really excited for you and want to congratulate you, and I'm proud to call you my friend. Thank you.
Councilor Abbott.
Mr. Johnson, I want to say congratulations, certainly on your accomplishments, but also on your marriage. It's hard to find a good husband or wife, so you've done it, and I congratulate you. But I want to say, you know, you have a big impact on people who don't look like you. And I think that's important, that your writing is for everyone. It's not just like focused narrowly. And I always read what you write, and I appreciate your texts that point me to what you've written just in case I miss it, because it's easy to miss stuff when you don't really have a newspaper anymore. I like to pick up a newspaper and read it and fold it up and crumble it and then put it in the bird cage. And we don't have that except with the Times. And I miss that, but I appreciate your texts because, you know, they help. The council has a lot to do. We're distracted by many things, including text at 5 a.m. and sometimes at 4 a.m. So they spread it around. But congratulations to you, and thank you for continuing to write. And don't retire. You know, you retire and then you just have more work to do than you had when you were working. So you may as well keep working. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sorry. Councilor Williams.
Thank you. You know, Roy, you've become a real friend of mine over the last several years, and I want to say congratulations on all of your life triumphs and victories throughout your career, but especially this summer, including your beautiful wife. And I also want to thank you for your consistency in the way that you're a journalist. I think that sometimes it's even easier to do at the local level, probably, is to kind of veer off. And the one thing that you have provided is one of the many things you have provided is consistency. And I really appreciate that. Your coverage is admirable, and I think that young journalists have a lot to learn from the type of coverage and writing that you produce. And also, in a very selfish and greedy way, I also learned so much about what I'm doing from your coverage. So, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, and congratulations. Well deserved.
Thank you. Thank you again. I just echo everything that's been said, and just want to say, for me, Roy, I really went back and read some of your articles and the work that you did with Sports Illustrated. That was just as being a sports person and just growing up in that type of environment, I found that type of reporting to be very, very, very enjoyable as well. So congratulations. Thank you for the work that you did with NABJ. I want to be sure I call it right. And again, the acknowledgement that was the second largest attendance, and we're glad that you all brought them to Birmingham. Thank you. Thank you to your wife for the work she does in the mental health field. Thank you. Thank you very much. Councilors, at this time, we will return to the agenda and consider the items for consent. Madam Clerk, if you'll read those items for us.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, the consent agenda begins on page 2 with item 3. I believe item number 2 is going to be considered for deferral.
Yes, it will.
Okay, then we're going to go over to page We're going to go over to page 21, items 5 and 6. Please note on item 6 that it was also recommended by the Transportation Committee. Page 22, we have items 7 and 8, and on item number 8, it's just recommended by the mayor and the Budget and Finance Committee. Please remove the Transportation Committee. Page 23, item 9, 10, and 11. On item 9, please change Transportation Committee to the Economic Development and Tourism Committee. And on item 11, you should have before you, there's a correction to the synopsis that's on the agenda. We will be adding, there are some additional code. This resolution is being done in accordance with some additional code sections. In addition to section 3-1-7 of the Birmingham General City Code, it is also in accordance with sections 38-2-9 and section 22-3-11 of the Code of Alabama 1975. Page 24, we have items 12, 13, and 14. Page 25, we have items 15, 16, and 18. And please note on item number 15 that we have the funding source. However, just for further clarification, this is the District 3 discretionary funds. Page 26, we have items 19, 21, 22, 23, and 24. Item 20 has been requested to be withdrawn. Page 27, we have items 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30. Page 28, items 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. Page 29, items 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42. Page 30, items 43, 44, 45, 46, and 47. Page 31, items 48, 49, 50, 51, 52. Page 32, items 53, 54, 55, 56, 57. Page 33, items 58, 59, 60, 61, and 62. Page 34, items 63, 64, and 65. Page 35, items 66, 67, 68. Page 36, items 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, and that completes the consent agenda.
Thank you. At this time, councilors, are there any items you'd like to have added or removed from consent? Councilor Quinn.
Yes. So on page 2, item number 2, would like to remove that from consent.
Thank you.
And on page 23, item 10, would like to also remove that one from consent.
Thank you, Dr. O'Quinn. Any other items that you'd like to have removed or added, councilors? All items designated as consent are routine and non-controversial and will be approved by one motion. No separate discussion of these items will be permitted unless a council member, the mayor, or citizen interested in a public hearing so requests. If so, such items will revert to its normal place on the agenda order of business. All matters of permanent operation indicated with the P will be read. All other matters will be announced by reading the item number only. All public hearings will be announced. Councilors will entertain a motion and a second for approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Thank you. The consent agenda is approved. If you were here for any items that have been approved as listed as consent, those have been approved. We hope you have a great day, and we'll continue with the rest of our agenda. Thank you very much. Madam Clerk, if you read the first item.
Yes, ma'am. The first item is on page 2, item number 1. An ordinance to further amend the zoning district map of the city of Birmingham, case number ZAC 2023-00003, to change zone district boundaries from CB1 Contingency Neighborhood Business District to C2 General Commercial District, filed by Courtney Jones, the owner, for the property located at 6900 2nd Avenue South and situated in the southeast quarter of Section 15, Township 17 South, Range 2 West, and this is the hearing of all interested parties.
All right, thank you very much. We'll turn this section of the meeting over to our Chair of Planning and Zoning, Councilor Abbott.
Thank you, Madam President. Mr. Gambrell, would you read our case, please?
Yes, ma'am. Tim Gambrell. I serve as the Chief Planner for the City of Birmingham, and this is case EAC 2023-3, located in East Lake neighborhood. The proposed use is an event center named Atlas 360. The applicant will open Atlas 360, a full-service event venue that will host weddings, receptions, corporate event, private party, baby shower, banquet, fundraiser, holiday parties. Their operating hours will be Monday through Thursday, 12 to 10, and on Friday through Sunday from 12 p.m. to 12 a.m. The subject property sits on 0.37 acres of land, currently zoned CB1 Contingency Neighborhood Business District. Adjacent parcels to the north, south, and west are zoned R3 Single Family District. The parcel to the east is also zoned CB1 Contingency Neighborhood Business District. The long-range land use plan identifies the property as residential low. The applicant is seeking a C2 general commercial zoning designation. An event center is defined as any building where premise or the primary use is staging of temporary events, may be operated by a vendor for the purpose of renting space for private functions. Event centers in C2s are required to have a special exception, and there are a couple of conditions associated with event centers. One is a traffic study may be required by the traffic engineer, and if the event center is within 200 feet of a dwelling district, hours of operation should be limited from 7 a.m. to 12 a.m. The applicant is aware he must go before Zoning Board of Adjustment to obtain special exception to allow an event center if the zoning is approved. For the parking requirement, event centers are required to park at one space per 100 square feet of gross floor area. This location is 6,000 square feet, therefore 60 spaces are required. Their site plan currently shows 12. The site plan is 48 spaces deficient, and they are aware that they will have to go to Zoning Board of Adjustment for a parking modification for this location. And also, they're going to have to resurvey 2 lots into one for the same location. Prior to any permits being issued, City's landscape architect will need a landscaping plan for the site. The site requires a B2 buffer on each side that is adjacent to a street along 69th, and second, a C buffer along the alley, and no buffer required to the adjacent use to the east. The city stormwater engineers approved this project with all stormwater, floodplain, and soil erosion ordinances applying, including soil erosion control, civil construction, stormwater permit, and so on. The Department of Transportation has reviewed the submitted site plan and does not have any concerns with traffic flow, parking, or ingress for the site. The East Lake Neighborhood Association met a regular scheduled meeting on May 2nd, 2023 to review the proposal and voted to unanimously support. There were 24 votes at that time. The Zoning Advisory Committee had a regular scheduled meeting on May 16, 2023 and voted to unanimously recommend the rezoning request. Planning and Zoning Committee met initially on June 14, 2022 to review the proposed project and voted to not recommend the request. The applicant met with adjacent residential property owners and returned to the Planning and Zoning Committee on August 9, 2023, and the committee at that time voted to recommend the rezoning request. And that concludes reports.
Thank you, Mr. Gambrell. Will the applicant please come forward?
Good morning.
Morning. Please state your name and tell us your story.
All right. Courtney Jones. I own the property at 6900 2nd Avenue South, and I also own the property on 6908 2nd Avenue South, which is right next door. The property has been kind of an eyesore for the community for a while. So once we purchased the property, we pretty much fixed the property up and wanted to do something that the community can enjoy. Once we came into the subcommittee meeting, it was a few residents that wanted to kind of talk about some things that they wanted to do with the property. So once we met, we came with a plan to pretty much offer a pilot tutoring program that we're going to do on the first Tuesdays of the month, quarterly. We also are going to try to do a community workshops where we talk about financial literacy, resume building, things of that nature. We also spoke, Ms. Tate had a great idea about bringing in a farmer's market, so we're going to incorporate that as well quarterly for the community. So the things that the community wanted was to include them as well. So that's what we, decided to do. We also, as far as the parking goes, we secured a parking lot adjacent to the property, which is on 69th Street, which is an additional 30 parking places. Also, the street will have an additional 40 parking places on 69th Street. There will be no parking on 2nd Avenue South, which some of the residents, of course, didn't want anybody to park in front of their houses. So we pretty much got over that hurdle, and we just came up with an agreement that we all could come up, agree on and make it more community friendly for everyone.
Okay, thank you. This is a public hearing. Do you have drawings for the council?
I have just a pack of pictures and showing the parking lot, the actual event center, and the agreement that that myself and the residents agreed upon.
My recollection is that you committed to the residents that you would keep people from parking on 2nd Avenue in front of their homes.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you elaborate on how you plan to do that?
It will be in the lease, so pretty much what we want to do with our event center when we do have functions, it'll be more so geared towards weddings and wedding receptions because we have a big venue, high ceilings and stuff like that. So that would be in our lease as far as to let the residents, let your people that are coming to the event know, we have designated parking areas on site at the event center, also on 69th Street, and we have an additional parking lot that we were able to get for our event center for our customers as well. So once they sign, it'll be in their lease, and we also will enforce it with the security that we have on site for the events.
Okay, and I think another commitment was that no noise would come outside of your venue. Can you talk about how you're going to keep noise inside?
Yes, ma'am.
the
So
building?
once we have our events, we will do a sound check, and so anything that will deem too loud, that the residents can hear, or that we can hear next door. Like I said, I house veterans next door as well. So anything that would disturb the veterans as far as, my guys, my residents, and as far as the customers the residents across the street, we'll just lower the volume.
Okay, and how close is this to the development where Cascade Plunge used to be?
So it's right across the street. So Cascade Plunge used to be there, and they had, that was kind of a pillar for the community because they had the cloud room. So there was always events there. So when I brought it to the community embraced it because they needed another venue that they can have, different, functions. Mr. Drake is going to be moving the community meetings to that event center. So once they have their Eastlake community meetings, they'll have them there as well.
Okay, well, first of all, are there any members of the public who have come to speak to this issue today? Yes, ma'am, please come forward. Sir, if you just have a seat somewhere, we have lots of seats.
Good morning.
Morning.
My name is Sandra Bradley, and I'm a resident at...
Pull the mic.
I'm sorry. My name is Sandra Bradley, and I'm a resident at 6829 2nd Avenue South. I'm probably about 15 steps away from the building that he's trying to open. So me and some neighbors, we actually got together and had some conversation about this. And we have a lot of concerns as far as parking, security, and noise. On 2nd Avenue South, on the street that I live, it is no parking at all. All the residents that live further down and on my street that does not have a driveway, they park on the side of the street. The nursing home that's next door, the ambulance, police, 3-4 times a day going up and down that street. 2nd Avenue South is a busy street. And me being a resident there, I'm really concerned with security. I'm really concerned with parking, and I'm really concerned with noise. The building that he's trying to occupy, behind him is a ditch. There is no parking nowhere. The building that's on the side of him that is owned by someone else, he may have 10, 15 parking spaces. So as far as parking, security, and noise, that's my biggest concern. That is a residential area where people work, sleep, school kids. We get up early in the morning and go to work. We don't want no noise. We don't want no type of confusion in our neighborhood. That is a residential neighborhood. If something like that is going to go on, why shouldn't it be in a business area, not a residential area? I can walk at my house and be right there at his building. Everybody that's on my street knew nothing about it. They didn't even receive a letter about this. It was only certain homes that knew about this update, and that was one of them. And I think my neighbor, Mr. Smith, actually talked to Mr. Quinn a couple of months ago and said that he wanted to speak to me, but of course, I wasn't there. I was at work, so I didn't really get a chance to, conversate with him. But like I said, my concern as a resident, safety, noise, and parking. What will go on outside that building, Mr. Jones have no control over. I get up and have to be to work early in the morning. I don't want to come out and have trash, cars, noise, people hanging out in front of my driveway. I got to call the police. Hey, can you come and get somebody? I have somebody blocking my driveway. That I don't want. So as far as everything else, like I said, that's my biggest concern. Security, security, security. Because once the place is closed, people hang out. That's normal. That's what they do. I don't want anybody hanging out in front of my house. I don't want anybody hanging out in front of my neighbor's house because we look out for each other. We have older neighbors. We have kids. We have a school up the street. We don't need this. I don't need this. If it's anything else that he wants to put in that building that's not going to have a lot of noise and bring a lot of traffic, that is fine with me. But an event center for me in a residential neighborhood where I can walk out my front door and look straight at that building, that doesn't sit well with me.
Thank you. We appreciate your coming to make your comments known, and we did hear from Mr. Smith and some other people, so we appreciate that. We understand that our meetings are not at a convenient time for people who work.
Yes, ma'am.
So thank you for being here.
Thank you.
I think that you were the only speaker, so do members of the council have questions? Okay, so Hunter Williams was the first hand I saw, but okay.
Whoever wants to go first is fine. But I just, thank you for being here. So did I misunderstand? Did it pass the neighborhood meeting? Okay, and so is there, just try to explain to me, I'm trying to get a feel why it passed the neighborhood meeting. And I read the, I don't know whose sheet that is, but I read the handout. So why did it pass the neighborhood? And I assume it sounds like you're the most adjacent property, or no?
I'm what now?
How close are you to this?
I'm probably from here to that wall,
Okay.
where that light is. That's how far his
Okay.
building is from my home.
So can you help me explain why the neighborhood's for it and you're not for it?
I have no.
Okay, and you didn't go to the meet, did you go?
No, this is actually my first meeting.
Okay.
When I actually spoke to Mr. Smith about it. I think when the first letter came out, and then about a week later, we got an updated letter. Him and I did conversate about that, and he did let me know a little things that was going on in the meeting, but I had no clue that this was going on.
Okay. And then what has that what has that space been used for in the past? Do you know?
I think before I moved over there, I think it was vacant, and it's been vacant for the past at least 3-5 years.
Okay. All right. Thank you, ma'am. I
Okay.
appreciate it.
Thank you. Counselor Clark? If people don't have questions for her, but
Oh,
I
okay.
don't know who does.
Yeah, so my question is not for you, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay. I just wanted to ask Mr. Gambrell or the developer about the occupancy, because it shows the number of square feet and the parking spaces required based on the square footage, but I guess it's the fire department that determines how many people can actually occupy the space for an event. Has that been determined?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay, so that would come later in the process?
I believe so, yeah. I don't know exactly when that happens, but I'm not privy to that information.
Okay. And then I guess for the developer, the owner, it does strike me, even before the resident spoke, that once you lease, and even though the language is in the lease about where people are to park, you really do lose control over where people actually park. And if there are no prohibitions, I guess, through signage from the city, or, people are going to park where, if I come to your event center, I'm going to park the closest place I can get to your door. I'm not going to know what the lease says. And so if, as an operator, you're not going to do some sort of enforcement of parking, I just don't see how this could work.
Yes, yeah, well, let me go back to answer one of her questions that she had. So I met with Mr. Smith lives right across the street from the event center, and I met with his wife and a couple of other neighbors. I'm sorry. So I actually met with Mr. Smith, who lives right across the street. So at the last subcommittee meeting, they had some concerns. Mr. Smith, his wife, have signed off, have sent emails supporting, what we're trying to do in the community. So they have signed off on that as well. So I guess this process has been going on for about a year, and those, Mr. Smith and, like I said, the neighbors that's like right across the street just wanted to make sure that what we were doing and what we can add to the community was something that everybody could use.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what was in the agreement that we signed. Now, this is my first time hearing about her concerns. Like I said, This has been going on for a year. We've had several meetings. So anything that I can do on my end to make sure this works for everybody is what we've been trying to do, what I've done, just everything. So
Yeah.
I'm not really.
And I do appreciate that you've been inclusive in that it can have, lighter uses during the day. I think by contrast, whatever it was before, it looks like it was some sort of stone and tile company.
Yes,
They
yes.
probably operated only during business hours.
No, they operated at night too because they cut stone after hours. So once they pretty much moved out, I mean, the building was falling apart. It was a sore sight to see. I've been there since 2010, so I've been a pillar of the community for a while. When we came over there, it was rough. So we opened up, one business, and we're trying to do another business to bring the community up. I never want to bring the community down. So
Yeah.
I want to work with the community. So I'm not trying to bring anything over there that's
Yeah.
a detriment to the area.
I guess what I'm looking for is how are you going to ensure that whoever you rent it to complies with, whatever the requirements are in the lease? And are you going to have staff there to make sure, if they have security requirements, if they have designated parking areas, is security or someone on your staff going to make sure that people walking into your facility parked in the right places, or what is that plan?
Yes, ma'am. So part of the lease, you have to have security for any event. So I will have designated security at all events, for the inside to the outside. And pretty much anytime you go to a ball game, there's some areas in the city that you cannot park in front of people's houses. They have security out there to say, hey, this is a designated area, this is a designated area. It's the same concept.
That's it. Okay, thank you. Councilor Moore?
Yes, ma'am, Madam Chair, thank you. So Councilor Clark actually, covered two of my major questions. What would you be able to do to be able to make sure that residents don't have that concern of having people parking in front of their yards? I heard you talk about, having security and just making sure that the security is very adamant to not allow folks to do those things. So I didn't really have anything else in place or any other questions.
And I forgot to add, as far as the hours, there were another concern that the residents, so we have since reduced the hours. So Sunday through Thursday, it's from 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday. Friday and Saturday, we reduced the hours as well. So we won't be open. The latest I really want to be open on Friday and Saturday is 9 p.m. So what you have? So what we have initially, that the hours of operation have changed based on the agreement that we had with the neighbors.
And can you restate those new hours, please?
Sunday through Thursday, 12 p. to 8 p.m. Fridays and Saturdays, 11 a.m. till 10 p.m.
Okay. Okay, was that? Yes, ma'am. Okay, anyone else? Yes, Dr. O'Quinn.
Thank you. So I have several questions, and I think these are primarily for Mr. Gambrell. I didn't see any queue conditions. Could we add queue conditions that queue out all of the other allowed uses other than an event center?
Yes, we could, but we would have to re-advertise the case and come back for a hearing. Those queues need to be in the advertised ordinance. So if we were going to add queues, we could do that, but we'd have to re-advertise the case.
So give me some examples of, without the queue conditions, potential uses that are allowed under.
Yeah, so there's
C2.
a lot. So C2 would allow for, a bar, multifamily, a convenience store with gas pumps, lots of things are allowed under C2.
Okay.
It's a general commercial district.
Okay. Could we also include the hours of operation in the queue conditions?
We have done that in the past where we've included queues that concern hours of operation. I think we could do that.
All right. With regard to, so a couple other questions. There's a letter included in the packet from the adjacent property owner giving permission to for Mr. Jones' patrons to use that parking lot. Have staff verified that permission, and also have staff verified the agreement with the residents?
We did, we received a letter from the residents. I believe they were part of the neighborhood association. And so we did receive that letter. I know that it's been demonstrated that the lot is available, but he still would have to, he's going to be required to go to the Zoning Board of Adjustment for a parking modification. And so if he intends to use that lot, then he would need to, have that agreement presented to us at that time. It would have to be approved by OCA, and as part of his parking modification.
Okay. And just to answer Councilor Williams' concern, so I attend the East Lake Neighborhood Association meetings pretty regularly. This property is across the street from the new residences that have been built over the past several years at the old Cascade Plunge location. Like a lot of residents, they don't necessarily attend their neighborhood association meetings regularly. So actually, when Councilor Abbott and her chief of staff alerted me to this case coming before her committee, and so we hadn't heard from any adjacent residents, so I actually went out and went door to door to make them aware of the committee meeting. And that's when Mr. Smith and a couple of other folks came out to express their concerns. So I think that's why you saw the neighborhood association, no mention of concerns there. So just wanted to give that explanation.
When you went door to door, what was your feeling of the residents up or down?
Yeah, I think, the concerns were similar to what's been expressed here. Mostly people didn't know about it, and I think that the notices, only went to maybe one resident on the opposite side of the street. So, that's a concern that has happened on other rezoning cases, that we're not really getting wide distribution to adjacent property owners in these rezoning cases. So that's maybe a larger issue. But, so the residents were really appreciative that I brought it to their attention. But the parking and noise concerns were, the standout issues. The adjacent area along First Avenue North, has some serious challenges. I don't think they're, going to be any way related to what Mr. Jones is going to be doing, but there are some significant security concerns in that area already. But the main thing that I'm concerned about is the fact that there are no queue conditions included in this item. And there's potentially a lot of uses that come under C2 that I know residents would not like to see. And I know that that's not Mr. Jones' intent to use the property for any of those purposes. However, the zoning follows the property, and so we have to think about, 5, 10, 15, 20, however long in the future, what land uses are allowed with the zoning. So it would be my recommendation that queue conditions be added to this case to rule out any potential uses, other than what Mr. Jones is proposing, to protect the interests of the residents in that area.
Any other council members who haven't spoken? Councilor Woods?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just one, like I've been doing this a little while, I do have appreciation for people that kind of handle the process the right way. I think you came to planning and zoning a couple times and have done a good job of talking to the residents and hearing some of those issues. I think you did add some context, Dr. O'Quinn, as far as the neighborhood vote, because it was a unanimous one. But so that did give some context that I didn't have.
Councilor Woods, can you speak into your microphone, because we're having trouble hearing you down here on this end.
There we go.
Thank you.
Take it from the top? Yes. Okay. All right, so I was just saying, one, kind of after seeing this process several times before, I have appreciation for people that really go about doing it the right way, communicating. I think you've done a good job over communicating with residents and at least hearing the issues that they had. I think you've been planning on it a couple times, but was also thanking the doctor for sharing some context around kind of the neighborhood vote that was unanimous, and you had a couple complaints come up. But I do think that parking is probably the biggest concern there. I think there was adding some spaces. I think it'd be important to make sure people are on site to prevent people, from parking in places they shouldn't. And I don't think that's a unreasonable request. I do see that it would be a good idea to potentially have some queue conditions on this. And it didn't come up. That's one, typically we had that conversation, but it didn't come up at all on this one. And I think that's probably a pretty reasonable agreement, to kind of cover what the residents may not even be thinking about that they don't want, as well as the hours of operation. So I can see that. What, just refresh my memory, Mr. Gambrell, what is the required amount of time to advertise?
So, yeah, any zoning item is required to be notify all adjacent property owners within 500 feet, and also post the item in the paper 22 days prior to the hearing, and then a second synopsis has to be submitted after the first posting. So generally speaking, when the item is set on the dais, it's generally 4 Tuesdays later that it comes up on the council agenda.
Okay. And I do think we probably need to have another conversation at some point around the notices, and if we have a way to
yeah, I was going to comment on that. I did receive an email, where our records indicate we mailed out nearly 60 notices.
Mm-hmm.
Many of those notices went to addresses on 2nd Avenue South. It's state law. We have to mail notices to all property owners within 500 feet of the property being requested to be rezoned, and I believe we do that. Our records indicate that there were over 60 addresses listed, and letters were mailed to those addresses.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to check. I didn't want Attorney King to fall out of her chair. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Councilor Clark.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My concern was about the notice also, that we're just knowing what that provision is and that we are still noticing residents when there's a zoning. Does it tell them about the neighborhood meeting, or it tells them about this public hearing?
Yeah, the notices are mailed out to let them know about both the Planning Commission hearing, it's a public hearing as well, it's required by the state, and then a public hearing at the City Council. So both instances, they're mailed a notice. I believe the state requires 6 days prior. We generally mail them out 2 weeks prior.
Yeah. So I do feel like this owner has tried his best to be responsible and, compromise with the neighborhood. And I know the queue conditions would require us to go back, but when I think about all the things allowable at that location under general commercial, if we grant the zoning request as it is today, if this doesn't work out, he could do any number of things under the new zoning that might offend the neighbors. So I'm not suggesting that he would, because I really believe he has, he has good faith in this effort, but he might also sell the property to a new owner who would then, may not be as invested in collaborating with the neighborhood as he has. And so because this runs in perpetuity with the property, I have some real unease granting it as requested. Thanks.
Anyone? Oh, yes, Dr. O'Quinn.
Yes. So my question is that how would we handle this item today? If we take a vote on it, then we can't rehear the case for another year.
Correct.
So how do we handle this in terms of delaying it so that we can re-advertise and with queue conditions added?
Right. I think to avoid any due process issue, if the applicant are willing to withdraw the case and then, rehear the case at P&Z potentially to discuss, potential queue conditions. And personally, I think that would be the best way to handle it. As you say, if you take a vote, I think the option is really in the applicant's hand. If he wanted to force a vote, he could do that. But if a vote were to take place and it was denied, as you mentioned, he wouldn't be able to come back for a year unless the council passed a resolution to allow him to, based on a new application or some change condition. But then if he were to allow it to be withdrawn today, then the process could continue as it is. And so we could go back to P&Z, discuss potential queue conditions, get us another recommendation, and then come back through this process.
Okay, so if I'm allowed, I would make a motion to table the item at this time so that staff can communicate with the applicant, make sure that he's, aware of all the implications here.
I would like to not table until I can make my comment.
Sure, yes.
And then you can do whatever you want.
Okay.
Yes, and my comment has to be made to the applicant with my apologies, because I am one of the 2 people who attended that meeting who voted to send this with our recommendation. Well, I was still up last night at 4 a.m. worrying over this case. And what I was thinking about is that I did that because Mr. Johnson is such an engaging person. And he was trying so hard to please the neighbors. The residents who attended the neighborhood meeting, of course, live nowhere nearby, so it doesn't matter to them whether there's any noise over there or whether people park in front of the neighbors' houses. I can safely say that I am not going to vote for this whether it has queue conditions or not, because putting general C2 zoning in a residential neighborhood is just wrong. Even if the applicant is an engaging and very nice person, because tomorrow the property can be sold to the biggest jerk in the world, and we have no control over that. And so I can't support this because I wouldn't want any city council to do this to me, to put general commercial in the center of a residential district. It's just, for me, it is not the right thing to do, and I'm not going to support it. But my apologies to the applicant, because he's tried very hard to get this event center going, but an event center is an event center. We can't change that. And the commitment to the neighbors that no one will be allowed to park on 2nd Avenue, I don't care if he hires 30 policemen, that's not even illegal, because the administration has not come up with the residential parking zones yet, so there's no way to stop anyone from parking in front of anybody's house anywhere in the city, because it's all public parking. So that commitment is not meetable. So I just wanted to say that, and I wanted to apologize, because it should have come from our committee with a different recommendation, and it didn't. And I just had to say it because I stayed up all night thinking about it, and you know, when it suddenly hit me that even if he hired a whole ton of people, they could not stop anybody from parking on a public street. And I'm still waiting for the resident parking zones. I don't know how long it takes to create them. It must take years, because they've been thinking about it for 3. Yeah, well, people do that. They go out and put trash cans. They'll probably put their new carts because they're so big. And they put signs, they put caution tape in between them, they put cones in front of their houses. But you know, you shouldn't have to do that to keep people, a commercial use, from parking in front of your residential home. So now the council can table, queue, whatever, but I just have already made up my mind. So that's all. So if any other council members want to jump in here, and I'll turn it back over to the council president.
Thank you, Mrs. Abbott. At this time, are there any other comments from any councilors? Well, we had the motion, secondary motion to table this item, and there was a second. So, Madam Clerk, can we call for that vote?
All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Right. Thank you. This item is tabled to allow that discussion between admin and the property owner. And we'll go to the next item. Thank you.
Okay, the next item is item number 2, also on page 2. It's a resolution revoking the certificates of public necessity and convenience issued to the Kid One Transport System, Inc., 110 12th Street North, Birmingham, for failure to file the required liability insurance. And this is a hearing of all interested parties.
Move the item.
All right. Thank you. Dr. O'Quinn, you asked for this item.
Yes. I'm going, I'll make a motion to delay this item 1 week.
There's a motion on the floor for a motion and a second for a delay of this item. It's 1 week, the request, okay, for 1 week. Any questions regarding that request? All right, Madam Clerk, we're ready for that vote.
Okay, all in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
All right, thank you. This item has a 1 week delay. Next item.
The next item is on page 21. It's item 4. It's an ordinance authorizing the mayor, upon receipt of payment in the amount of $11,131, to execute a quitclaim deed to CR Investment Properties, LLC, for the sale of property located at 1006 30th Street North, which was acquired by the city upon foreclosure of municipal improvement liens in accordance with Section 3-1-4C of the General Code of the City of Birmingham. This is an item of permanent operation, so we will need unanimous consent first.
Motion for unanimous consent. Second.
Councilmember Abbott,
Aye.
Councilmember Clark. Councilmember O'Quinn. I'm sorry. Okay. Councilmember Moore. I'm sorry. Councilmember Tate. Councilmember Williams. Councilmember Woods. Council President Smitherman, Pro Tem Smitherman. And Council President Alexander.
Aye.
Okay. Now we need a motion on the item.
All right, thank you, councilors. This is an ordinance authorizing the mayor for payment of $11,131 to execute a quick claim deed. Any questions regarding this item? We're ready for the vote.
Okay. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
All right, thank you. This item passes. Next item.
Okay, the next item is item number 10. It's on page 23. It is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a right-of-way memorandum of understanding agreement whereby the Historical Preservation Authority of the City of Birmingham is allowed to install one internally illuminated double-faced aluminum sign. The sign will be installed at a height of 11 feet above finished grade, extend 6 feet, 4.5 inches from the exterior of the building, and encroaching into and over the right-of-way of 5th Avenue North for the A.G. Gaston Motel, which is located at 1510 5th Avenue North.
All right, thank you. Dr. O'Quinn, you asked that this item be removed from consent.
Yes, so first thing, is this a new sign in addition to the existing sign?
So we'll have a couple of team members speak to your question, Counselor.
Counselor, no, it's not a new sign. It's an existing sign right here, over here, to your right. Counselor O'Quinn.
I'm sorry. I was like trying to figure out who's talking. It's the existing sign, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. My other question is related to the Historical Preservation Authority. According to the city clerk's information published on the website, the council is the appointing authority for members of the 3-member board for the Historical Preservation Authority. Mr. Mari Shevin is listed as the only current member of that board. Do we know whose committee the Historical Preservation Authority comes under?
Counselor, it's normally been coming under the Education Committee.
Okay. And am I correct in, is the information correct that there's currently 2 vacancies?
Yes, sir, but the members that are on there still serve until they're either reappointed or replaced. So although their terms have expired, they're still serving until the council makes it, has a vote.
The website only lists Mr. Shevin as the current member.
Yes, sir. The other 2 members are Nathaniel Bagley, and he serves as the chair of the committee, and myself.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That answers my questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, councilors? All right, we're ready for the vote.
All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Thank you. Item 10 passes. Next item.
The next item is item number 17. It's on page 25. A resolution nominating 3 persons for appointment to the Birmingham Parks and Recreation Board, 1 term expiring October 8th, 2024, 1 term expiring October 8th, 2025, and 1 term expiring October 8th, 2027.
Move the item.
Second. All right, thank you. These are nominations that are coming from the Park and Rec Board. So, Councilor Clark, would you read those nominations for us? Thank you.
Sure. Thank you, Madam President. The Parks, Rec, and Cultural Arts Committee presents for your consideration the following members of the community nominated to serve as members on the Birmingham Park and Recreation Board. Replacing Larry Cockrell with a term expiring October 8th, 2024, the recommendation is Scotty McClaney. Replacing Ronald Mitchell with a term expiring October 8th, 2025, the recommendation is Patrick Talley. And reappointed to a full term expiring October 8th, 2027 is Walter Body, who is currently on the board.
Thank you. Any questions regarding these nominations? We're ready for the vote.
All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
All right, thank you. Item 17 passes. We thank the work of the Birmingham Park and Rec Board for considering these nominations and bringing these forward. We're thankful for these citizens to take on this role and service to our community. Next item.
The next item is on page 26, item 20, and as a reminder, this item was withdrawn from consideration. Then we'll go to item number 75, which is on page 37. A resolution setting a public hearing November 14th, 2023, to consider the adoption of a resolution assenting to the vacation of 32,500 square feet of the right-of-way that is located parallel to and between 27th Street Ensley and 32nd Street Ensley and perpendicular to and between Avenue B and the Norfolk Southern Railway, 2900 and 3100 Avenue B, on behalf of NLI LLC and Birmingham Terminal Railway LLC owners, so that the owner can consolidate property. And this is case number SUB 2023-00058.
Move the item.
All right, thank you, councilors. This is a request to set a public hearing on November 14th, 2023 for consideration of this resolution. Any questions regarding this item? We're ready for the vote.
All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
All right, thank you. That public hearing is set. Next item.
The next item, item 76, is a resolution setting a public hearing November 7th, 2023, to consider the adoption of an ordinance to amend the zoning district map of the city of Birmingham, case number ZAC 2022-00001, to change zone district boundaries from MXD Planned Mixed Use District to QC1 Qualified Neighborhood Commercial District, filed by Charles Beavers on behalf of the owner, Oxmoor USA, Inc., for the properties located at 3100 and 3060 Shannon Oxmoor Road and situated in the northeast quarter of Section 6, Township 19 South, Range 3 West, Birmingham.
Move the item.
All right, councilors, this is resolution setting a public hearing for November 7th for adoption of ordinance to, for zoning change. Any questions regarding the date of this public hearing? We're ready for the vote.
All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
All right, thank you. Item number 76 passes, and that date is set. Any other items, Madam Clerk?
The only item is the one that was tabled, and that was item number 1.
All right.
Yes. Motion to take item 1 back up.
All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Thank you.
I was just going to say we did meet and discuss options. So I think it's up to Mr. Jones to make a decision.
Well, I'm still in the fight, so what we'll do is just try to come up with, I guess, withdraw it, right? Yeah. Withdraw it and then put the, I guess, the cues, and then we'll just move forward from there.
Thank you. All right, thank you. Mr. Gambria.
I was just going to mention, if you prefer, we can bring it back to P&Z, the next available agenda, and have that discussion at that time.
Motion to refer the item back to Planning and Zoning Committee.
All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
All right, thank you. So the motion is passed, and this will go back to P&Z. Thank you very much. All right, counselors, at this time, we're ready to entertain any updates that you have for your districts. And Counselor Woods, are you ready?
Yes, ma'am, Madam President. Quickly, the Kellow Springs Neighborhood Association will meet tonight at Smith Middle School at 6:30 p.m. And so just want to invite all neighbors to come out, continually participate in your community. Thank you.
Thank you. That was great. All right, Counselor Abbott, are you ready? Do you have to flip the thing? That's okay.
Clearly not.
That's okay. Counselor Quinn.
Thank you, Madam President. East Avondale Neighborhood Association will meet tonight, 6 p.m. via conference call. If you need the call-in information, please feel free to contact my office at 254-2679 for additional information. Smithfield Neighborhood Association will meet on Thursday, October 12th at 6 p.m. at the Smithfield Court Community Center, located at 805 First Street North. Just want to remind folks about the right size parking public meetings that are happening. The City of Birmingham's Department of Planning, Engineering, and Permits and Transportation will be hosting a public meeting tonight at 6 p.m. at the Avondale Library to discuss measures they are taking regarding parking enforcement and how it can be adjusted to better serve the needs of residents. The next meeting will take place virtually on Monday, October 16th at noon. For additional information, feel free to contact PEP at 254-2211. Also, the Eastern Area Framework Plan public meeting will be held Tuesday, October 24th at 6 p.m. for the Eastern Area. The meeting will take place at Woodlawn United Methodist Church, located at 139 54th Street North, Birmingham. If you are unable to attend this meeting in person, there will be a virtual option as well as a conference call option. Please contact my office for additional information at 254-2679, and just want to offer my congratulations to Mayor Woodfin and his new bride on their marriage ceremony that happened just the way that I wish that he would have done it, in a very private ceremony over the weekend without all the fanfare and hubbub that could have happened in accompaniment with it. In any case, good job. Congratulations.
Thank you, Dr. O'Quinn. Yes, Councilor Clark. Yes, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam President. Dr. O'Quinn, I just wanted to ask you if you think it's appropriate in this parking meeting that's going on for residents to talk about things like the restricted parking that Councilor Abbott brought up, because I do think it's something that we need to consider in areas like around Protective Stadium and maybe even around this proposed event center. But is that an appropriate forum for that kind of concern to be elevated?
I absolutely think that it is appropriate. Most of the conversation, the context of the conversation is mostly about changing our zoning code to adjust, the current concept, which is having require a certain amount of required parking for different types of land uses, but it's all connected, right? So I think it's appropriate, and I also know that the Department of Transportation has research that was conducted through my office on residential parking permitting. One of their staff members conducted that research and surveyed residential parking permitting systems across the country. So they have extensive knowledge of, how that can potentially be done. I think it's important that they hear from residents about those types of needs.
Okay, so you're saying this is mostly about relaxing the requirements of like developers or people who are reusing property to not require them to build as much parking.
That's
to sort
correct.
of future-proof when, I don't know, assuming we're going to be biking and walking to some of these developments. Is that what it's about?
Right.
Or taking the bus rapid transit.
Yeah, so just as an example, we know that there is a lack of affordable housing, quality affordable housing in the city of Birmingham. And we know that it costs money to build parking. There's no such thing as free parking. And a lot of our residents that qualify or whatever, if affordable housing is their option, but the city requires that parking be built, for that type of housing, then that resident ends up paying more for their housing than if we didn't have an absolute requirement. That resident may not even own a car. So that's the type of, that is one small example of the type of considerations that planning staff and Department of Transportation are looking at with regard to amending our zoning requirements.
Thank you. Council Clark, I'll go ahead and let you give your update then, since you have the mic.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Okay, neighborhood meetings in District 8 this week. The Bellevue Heights neighborhood will meet today at 6:30 in person at Brown Elementary School. Also, the Central Park neighborhood will meet this Thursday at 6 p.m. at the 5 Points West Regional Library. We had a pretty good time this past Saturday with the inaugural Blues at the Ballpark held at historic Rickwood Field. I offered an opportunity for residents to visit a table and write down any of their concerns on a index card, or I also told them they could just write a blues song about it. But anyway, we were able to feature both local and international artists who left the audience begging for more. So we had a really good time. A special thank you to our partners, the Friends of Rickwood Field, the Magic City Blues Society, and our stellar Public Information Office team, as well as the staff in District 8 led by Carmen Mays. So thank you all for your help. The Birmingham Waterworks is hosting a town hall meeting at the Birmingham Crossplex on Tuesday, October 17th at 5:30. Customers and stakeholders are invited to engage in a meaningful dialogue with the utilities leadership and give and provide input in a Q&A session that they will provide. Dr. O'Quinn already mentioned the rethinking parking regulations, so I'll skip that one. Each Thursday, feel free to join us as we meet at the Starbucks at the Crossplex around 7:55 a.m. to do a 1.5-mile loop around the property. And we're joined by, every now and then we get a special guest like Alice Williams, but we're mostly neighborhood leaders and Freshwater Land Trust. And we have a little morning exercise, weather permitting, so please come. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Moore.
Thank you, Madam President. It's already been stated that Kelo Springs will be meeting tonight at 6:30 p.m. At Smith Middle School, Northeast Lake will have their neighborhood association at 6 at the Southern Museum of Flight. And Penfield Park will also have their meeting at 6 p.m. at Brownsville Heights Community Center. I also want to just say congratulations to the mayor on his wedding ceremony. My 4-year-old daughter was a little bit upset that she was not the bride, but she will get over it. And yeah, just wanted to say thank you. Congratulations to him. That's all.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Abbott.
Thank you. Yes, I'm ready now. The planning and zoning meeting that was scheduled for tomorrow has been canceled because there are no cases. Tonight we have a lot of meetings. We have the East Avondale meeting at 6 p.m. via conference call. Also at 6 p.m. we have the Highland Park neighborhood meeting at the Highlands Racket Club. Used to be the Charlie Boswell Golf Course. I don't know what happened to that. Anyway, and also at 6 o'clock, so there's 3 in a row, we have the right-sized parking meeting to talk about enforcement, which will be fascinating because we know we don't do that. I'm on that team, and the one thing I can say about the right-sized parking is my only big two objections. One is that we have no resident parking zones. We have no ordinance to look at or review or consider, and we've been asking for it for 3 years. That's a long time. So the other thing is we're planning on changing the zoning ordinance without fixing the sidewalks or putting in bike lanes or doing anything about those scooters that are left all over everywhere, including out in the street. We're not planning on doing anything to make it easy to use other options besides driving your car. Now, in my mind, we would work on our issues first, and then we would change the ordinance. But, apparently we don't do things like that. But anyway, so there are those 3 meetings at 6 o'clock tonight, and they're all important, so it's going to be interesting. Then Thursday, October 12th, we have the Southside Framework Plan meeting at Highlands United Methodist Church in 5 Points South. That's the one right behind the fountain. And it will be from 6 o'clock to 7:30, so residents will have an opportunity to come see what has been proposed for them and see if they agree with any of it. And if they don't agree, they can make comments and ask for changes. So Thursday's a pretty important meeting too, and it's also at 6 o'clock. And then there's the My BHAM 311 app that I have to mention every week because I love it. Now, yes, sometimes they close out your request without doing anything, but you just have to keep trying over and over and over until you get a response that makes sense. I had one where I turned in some people for cutting down city-owned trees off the right-of-way, and Public Works was kind enough to come and grind the stumps and close out the request, rather than doing anything about the people illegally cutting city-owned trees that were planted by the neighborhood association. So I thought that one was really an interesting option, is we help the people who broke the law by making it look better. So, that one, of course, has to be turned in again. But anyway, I'm still a big advocate of the My BHAM 311 app because you can add photos, which of course I did, of the stumps, and they were ground. So we do want residents to go to the District 3 website simply because there's not enough time in these little 3 minutes we get to talk about everything that's going on. So that is located at www.bhamdistrict3.com. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Mrs. Abbott. Councilor Pro Tem, I believe you have several to read.
Yes, ma'am. I have 3 districts. Sandusky neighborhood meeting will be held this Thursday, October 12th at 6:30 p.m. at Jimmy Hudson Rec Center. Then North Pratt will be having their neighborhood meeting on the same day this Thursday at the same time. Oh, wow, Councilor Tate. At New Haven Apartments, 13 Avenue West. Oak Ridge will be having their neighborhood meeting also on Thursday at 4 p.m. via teleconference at 952-206-4918. The access code is 223-418. Hooper City will also be having their neighborhood meeting this Thursday as well at 6 p.m. at Hooper City Rec Center. The next public safety meeting will actually be held later today at 1 p.m., but after that, the next one is Tuesday, October 24th. Please submit agenda items via email by Wednesday, October 18th, no later than noon, to the District 9 staff. Also, I'm helping Councilor Tate with this, but her second annual sneaker soiree will be this Saturday from 11 to 2, right here in the Boutwell, and it's about talking peace, healing, and public safety. We'll have door prizes, giveaways, and youth-led forums. Also, we had our Safe Summer concert, Councilor Tate and I, this past Sunday. It was amazing. Young Vocals and Stokely brought the house down. We had about 3,600 people in attendance. So thank you to PIO for the coverage, Alicia, B Grace Media, our staff from District 6, District 9, the food trucks, and Councilor Clark. We didn't see her, but she sent us a picture. She was in attendance. And Chastity told us, Madam President, she got a lot of compliments about that concert. So I want to thank you, and I think former Councilor Parker, that was y'all's idea for that. And I actually heard from one of the food trucks, they said they were really happy to see more concerts like this coming back to Birmingham. And the fact that it was safe, no violence, anything. And from District 2, the Roebuck Neighborhood Meeting will be this Thursday at 7 p.m. at New Beginning Church. And his community meeting, Economic Development and Tourism Committee meeting, the next meeting will be Tuesday, October 17th at 11:30 a.m. in conference rooms D&E. Please have all submissions submitted to India Bailey by this Thursday at noon. Also, I was able to stop by Blues in the Park for Councilor Clark's concert. That was amazing, great turnout. I'm not really a blues fan, but I really enjoyed myself. The one act I saw, he came into the audience and was playing the guitar, and it was perfect weather, so I really enjoyed myself, Councilor Clark. And also, we had very successful, we had a busy weekend. We had very successful neighborhood officer luncheon at Jim and Nick's. The food was good. We had Alice Williams and her staff. We had Josh Yates, Chief Thurman, and Katrina for PEP. So we had a very good conversation. Also, we had a district-wide cleanup this past Saturday. We were in the communities of Oakwood Place, West End, Titusville, and Mason City. So we had great turnout for that. Thank you to staff, residents, municipal court, and neighborhood officers. Then I was just like Councilor Quinn, I had to go to a homecoming, except for my residents were younger. They were 6 and under and 8 and under. So I actually got to crown them homecoming king and queen. And then I told one of the homecoming queens, I was like, you know the big party or big dance that the high schools go to? I was like, I was the queen just like you. I was prom queen. So that was really cute. They had a lot of fun. And then the Tuskegee and Morehouse homecoming, I went to the HBCU Strong event with Councilor Woods and Clark. That was really good. The President's Brunch. I didn't make the game, but it seemed like it was a pretty decent attendance. The next Budget and Finance meeting will be on Monday, October 23rd at 3:30 p.m. Submissions are due Wednesday, October 18th by noon. We have 2 neighborhood meetings tonight, South Titusville at 5:30 p.m. at Holy Family. And then Arlington West End neighborhood will meet today at 6 p.m. at West End Library. And the mobile medical clinic is at Living Church Ministries every Wednesday from 2 to 4 p.m. And then the UAB mobile market is every Wednesday from 5:30 to 7:30 at Railroad Park. And that's the end of my announcements finally, Madam President.
You did a good job, all 3 of those. Thank you very much. These are your announcements for District 7. Before I start talking about the District 7 events, I do want to thank those councilors that had the entertainment events in their districts this weekend. Safe Summer Series is something that we started at the really at the end of COVID. Most families have been locked up and sheltered due to COVID, and so this was an opportunity to bring people back out to a safe environment where families could get outside and enjoy. So we're glad of the participation we've had so far. I believe next up we have Councilor Woods and Councilor Moore. They'll be bringing their event, so I'm grateful for that. Also mention of the Morehouse Tuskegee Classic. Glad to see that There was participation from residents that those two schools had an opportunity to come to Birmingham and enjoy. Just want to make note that that 3-year agreement has expired, and so I'd just like to make mention to administration if there's opportunity to, we have some local colleges closer to home that may be able to create some type of classic experience at Legion Field. So if we could look into that, I think our residents in those schools, because we're trying to make Birmingham an entertainment destination, a sports destination, and Legion Field is one of the big pieces of that. So thank you very much. These are our announcements for today. We have Tuesday, October 10th. We have the East Brownsville neighborhood. They'll meet via conference call at 5:30. The Raleigh-Travaille neighborhood will meet in person at Noble Chapel at 6 p.m. Tomorrow, there's bulk trash and brush pickup scheduled for Germania Park. On Thursday, we have the Roosevelt Neighborhood Association. We'll be meeting in person at Roosevelt Community Center. That's at 11 a.m. The Winona Dragons will play at Bill Culpepper Stadium on Thursday, and that game will be 7 p.m., and that is the BCS highlight of the week game. So you'll be able to log in and view that game. It'll be streamed for you. On Friday, October 13th, there's bulk trash and brush pickup scheduled for the Raleigh neighborhood. UAB Blazers do travel to Texas to play the UTSA Roadrunners. On Monday, October 16th, we have the Powderly neighborhood will meet at 5 p.m. at Henry Crumpton Rec Center. And the Oxmoor Valley neighborhood, instead of meeting yesterday, they will be meeting on Monday, October 16th, and they'll be meeting at the Oxmoor Valley Community Center at 6 p.m. That meeting was changed to allow Commissioner Tyson, she's bringing some information to the neighborhood relative to some new initiatives that will be coming into the district by the county, and so I just want to be sure that residents are there to hear that information. Our bulk trash and brush pickup is scheduled for Green Acres on Monday, October 16th. And those are the end of my announcements. And so at this time, we will entertain our speakers list. Madam Clerk, do we have any speakers?
Yes, ma'am, we have two. The first is John Jackson.
Hi, Mr. Jackson. As you come forward, you have 3 minutes, and you'll state your name and address, and we'll listen to your information you'd like to share with us. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is John Jackson. I live at 235 85th Street North. I'd like to thank God for this day, for allowing me to come before you today. I'd like to thank the mayor, and I'd like to thank Councilman Moore for the job that you guys did that helped me in my place. Thank you so much. I come before you today, first of all, I'm not coming on my behalf this time. I'm coming on behalf of the children in my neighborhood. As listed, I live at 235 85th Street North, and the cars that come down 85th Street North, they come down at speeds of 70, 80 miles an hour. And it's just a matter of time before one of those little children run out for a ball or a bike or something like that. I did some research, and I went and looked at 5 Mile Road. They have 5 speed breakers leading to Smith School. I looked at 4th Avenue South and 81st Street South. They have 2 ways that was turned to 4 ways. I looked at Crest Hill Road. It had 6 speed breakers, 2 ways turned to 4 ways. I looked at 2nd Avenue South and 79th Street. It had 2 ways turned to 4 ways. I'm asking for 85th Street North just to have 2 speed breakers, and it's already a 2-way on one side. I'm asking for that to become a 4-way. It's just a matter of time, and you guys have the potential to save some child's life. This is, to me, not high but low-hanging fruit, where we can simply save a child's life. I know that labor shortages, and I know that problems has occurred from COVID. I'll be willing to do the work myself if y'all give me the equipment. Because in doing so, I know I could prevent a person from losing their life. It's very passionate to me to get that done. I also had Pastor Jamal Cunningham here with me, but he had to go to work. So we've already done a petition. We have page after page after page of people's signatures where they're willing to help in this manner. And all we're asking for is something to be done about it. Prevention is secure. I'm a taxpayer. I've lived in my home for almost 30 years, and all I'm asking for is some support in this. I don't feel like that's a whole lot. We vote, we do what we can in the space that we're given, but all I'm asking for is for 85th to become a stop sign and 2 speed breaks.
Thank you so
That's my
much.
time.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson. We appreciate you for bringing this issue to our attention. The neighborhood that you live in, is this in District 1? It's District 4.
Northeast Lake.
Okay, I believe Council Woods had a question, but I'll let you address first, Council Moore.
No, so I was just going to say that, I'll definitely make sure that we have somebody to get in touch with you after this meeting is over with so that we can talk more about it.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. And is that what you were trying to tell me? Go ahead, Council.
Yeah, I was just going to add, there's a pretty good system in place to kind of request those, and so we just have to call DOT. I think Council Moore's got it now, but just so you know, to give them the closest address that you're interested in seeing a speed cushion. They'll do a study. It's a process, but that's the first step, and so there is part of that process is signatures. So keep up with those folks because you're going to need to go back and get them again. But the process works well. We did the ones on 5 Mile. It takes a little time, but you got to get that process started so you can get through it. So, but appreciate you coming down.
Thank you, and I appreciate that as well. I was going to reiterate as well, and I know administration wants to say something, but that process does work, and as Councilor Woods has said, we've seen that work through the neighborhood, through your counselor, and Department of Transportation. So we appreciate you bringing this issue to us. It's something that I feel is very timely as well. So, of course, we don't want anyone to be affected by this without any action. So, Chief.
Yes, ma'am, Madam President, and as Councilor Moore leans in as well, our Department of Transportation leadership has already been in touch with them, so they're already walking out the process as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Next speaker.
The next speaker is Eugene Jacobs.
Hi, Mr. Jacobs. Would you come forward? You have 3 minutes. State your name and address. Thank you, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Eugene Jacobs. Live at 944 Patton Chapel Road in Lincoln, but my announcement is related to Birmingham. I work for the Agency for Substance Abuse Prevention in Oxford, Alabama, and I am their faith-based support specialist ambassador. On December 14th and 15th, we're having a nationwide faith-based support specialist or faith-based substance misuse prevention conference here in Birmingham at the Harbor Center. And what we do is we seek to connect all faith leaders, leaders of all faiths, to the mental health experts and certified resources in order that we may be able to better address those who are struggling with substance misuse issues. Even though our conference is on December the 14th and the 15th, the reason why we came today is because registration is open now. And we are funded by the Foundation for Opioid Response Efforts, certified through the Alabama Department of Mental Health. And it is only those clergy leaders of Alabama that we're able to certify. So I want to spread the word as much as I can around the state of Alabama. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for bringing this to us. And you said that registration is open. Do you have links or a website? And if you'll leave that with us, then I think those of us that are interested will be sure to pass that along to our district. I actually have a list of the faith-based clergy in District 7 that participate in me with Coffee with the Clergy. So if you'll just write your information on that sheet, we'll be able to get you that email list as well.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. That concludes our speakers, Madam Clerk.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. At this time, we would like to thank our officers on duty, Cedric Pinkert, Derek Square, Tevin Irby, and Emmanuel Mason. We appreciate you for your service. At this time, we'll entertain a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?